I came to the University of Minnesota to dissect all the talk around politics in the state today.
Yeah, things that politicians say, obviously, but also what are they saying in their campaign ads? What kind of language are people using on social media?
Dan Myers teaches political science on campus.
Are you able to say Minnesota nice? Is that the tone historically of Minnesota politics? Has it been?
I think historically it's fair to say that there has been a sort of Minnesota, I don't know about nice, but a reserve.
And that's consistent, he says, with the mayor's race in St. Paul.
Minneapolis, on the other hand, we have sort of a two-party system. It is an ideological divide with maybe Frey and Fatah on the two ends and then the other two candidates in between.
Disagreeing is great, as long as it's on the issues. But as he's seen, attacks have gone personal.
You have some national actors coming in and trying to, for example, paint Fatah as un-American because he's Muslim. That's the kind of thing, delegitimizing an opponent, making it seem like they're not a full person. That's the kind of rhetoric that we think is scary and dangerous.
Does this reflect the level of heatedness that we see in New York, for example?
New York's mayoral race also falls on November 4th.
I do think that rhetoric is more heated in New York, probably again because of these cultural reasons, and maybe to some degree because of ranked choice. So Frey and Fatah want to make sure that they don't put off the supporters of Davis and Hampton because they want to get their second choice votes.
Make it make sense to our viewers, right? Why are we talking about political rhetoric? Help them see through the strategy of these politicians.
I think one thing to keep in mind is that rhetoric isn't always bad. Like rhetoric is what gets your attention, is what makes you care about politics and about issues, and that's really important.
So then what to watch for includes talk that makes the other side seem less legitimate.
Like they're not Americans, or maybe even dehumanizing them. And also rhetoric that tries to frame things for political gain. Politicians have an incentive sometimes to frame things as we're one group, they're another group, and we're fighting, and only one of us can win. And when rhetoric gets into that kind of a space, I hope people are attentive, that they can see what that kind of framing is trying to do, and maybe resist it.
Michelle Beck,
Have your antenna out for that.
KARE 11 News.
We keep hearing about rhetoric. We need to turn down the temperature, but it just seems like it's so bad. I mean, has it ever been this bad looking back at our history as a country?
Yeah, that's the exact question I posed the professor too. It's the ugliness in political rhetoric. It's not a new observation. I asked him to point out some key moments in our recent history. He says the lead up to the Iraq War, there's obviously, of course, claims that Barack Obama was also not American. And so these are some of the key moments in recent history. So again, not a new observation.
And then I think social media just amplifies it and makes it worse. All the disinformation out there makes it really, really scary for voters.
For sure.
All right, Michelle, good story. Thank you very much.